evening and welcome to Inception podcast. And tonight, my tonight, not Gail's tonight, her morning, I'm having a conversation about consciousness with the one and only wonderful big sister by 3 years, Gail. Hi, Gail. Good evening or good morning.
Well, good evening to you. Good morning to me. I'm very happy to be here. In fact, while I was taking a shower before getting ready here, I had this crazy song come in my head.
Oh, God.
When I was a teenager, and I can't remember what rock band it was. Maybe it was Herman's Hermits. I don't know, but it was an old band. And it was England swings like a pendulum do. Bobby's on by, Sickles 2 by 2, Westminster Abbey.
Oh, I'm doomed. Guys, I'm doomed. She's going to start. I'm doomed. I want you to know I'm 3 years younger. I don't know that song. It's not on my...
I don't know that song. Oh, it was very popular.
Okay. So, Gail, before we go into it, we're just going to have a conversation, Zoom to Zoom. We're not interviewing and none of that. But before we go, for the audience, could you just give a brief synopsis of who you are? Like what's your job? What do you do?
Okay. I live in Northern California, and I manage properties that I invested in when I was very much younger. And I maintain a 15-acre property that has some homes on it that my children live in. So
right, we got that bit. Yeah. However, she's forgot to mention she has an amazing podcast, which I just watched.
Oh.
Yes.
I just, in the last few months, I've just learned about podcasting. And I've been scheduled on a lot of different shows. You happened to find me through a show I was on.
Yeah.
And all these wonderful doors are opening for this new way of interacting with people on the internet.
Beautiful.
Living long distance and being able to be public with it.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time this time of the year doing harvest projects. Yesterday, we had a very exciting day. A friend of mine who's in her 70s and in incredible shape. She came up with a friend from Nepal who had just come back a few weeks ago from Nepal. And we spent the day with a giant apple press pressing apple juice, 5 of us.
I'll see. So she's really chilled, guys. But I'm going to add one more thing before the conversation starts. She is a guinea pig to the scientists. Okay, so that's all you need to know.
Like that.
I know. And Gail has had she's got some amazing stories, not on this show at the moment, but in the future, I will be having another conversation with Gail about her life experiences, which are mind blowing. Right, now we're ready. Am I too dark for you? Shall I put the light on? Can you see me?
I can see you. Am I okay?
Yeah,
you're actually okay. Very light. And by the way, not guinea pig, a subject in experiments with very interesting scientists.
Oh, not a guinea pig. Okay, she got that one in. I knew she would. Now, me and Gail had a very long conversation the other night, and it went on forever. We thoroughly enjoyed it. So we now know each other's energy. We've mirrored each other's life, which is just another story. So here we go. Tonight,
we've only just begun. We have no idea how much mirroring we have.
No, exactly. I don't remember that song you were singing in the shower. I am so too young. Right. So here we go. So Gail, from your truth, from your knowing, what is this human experience that we're going through? What do you think it is?
Well, I think that we're born into a life and a family that is places for us to learn lessons and teachings for us to take through into, I'm not sure if we reincarnate into another body. I'm just sure somehow that consciousness lives on. Wow. I don't have any particular scientific thing to back that.
You don't need to.
Except that from different experiences of connecting to spirits or souls who have passed on, I often start to feel that, well, I'm not sure if I'm just connecting onto a consciousness that's like just in an energy place, or it's like an electromagnetic field. I have no idea where consciousness floats around or what kind of magnetism or electricity is involved in it. I just know that it exists.
What a beautiful answer.
I've experienced that.
That's exactly what this conversation's about. So, okay, we've started the conversation. So then if I said to you, with that as the backdrop, if I said, who am I, me, if I said, who am I, my truth, my experience of who I am, is I am a spiritual being. I am consciousness having a human experience. Does that resonate with you, or do you have a different interpretation?
No, that resonates with me. In fact, there have been times in my life where I questioned, like, sexually, or when people say, oh, you're a woman, or you're a girl, or oh, you'll be a man. I've never felt like any of these things. My dad always said to me, oh, you're just like a man. I've never, been sexually attracted to women in a sexual way. No. So I've always had heterosexual relationships, but I've never felt particularly like a woman, a man, or I've never been able to identify with that.
That's a beautiful statement.
Like a being, or a person, or a human, or whatever you want to call it. But I've never. So then I've sort of felt like, well, I've done things that people considered masculine. Like when I was a teenager, I became a buyer in the produce markets, dealing with all men in a place where there were no women back then. 19.
You would, Gail, but you would. That's just.
And I worked and whatever. But I'm just saying, I loved cars. I loved stereos and music. Yeah. So people would, my father would say, "Oh, you're more like a man, more like a man." And then I was never drawn to the like feminine dress up kind of things particularly, but I'm a very voluptuous, sensual woman.
Oh my God, yes you are. I'm sure.
I'm just saying,
not that I know, not that
combination.
We've had some giggles the other night. She's voluptuous, I'm telling you.
I don't like
label yourself
to any of these things. And I've never been able to say, like, when somebody says, I can't ever say, like, I'm a woman. You know what I mean? I don't like I'm a lady, or I don't know. I just feel like I'm Gail. I'm just a person.
You're Gail, you're a human being. Yes, you are. So, but you resonate with the fact that you're a spiritual being having a human experience, but which is coming from my truth. That's really, how can I put this? That's quite expansive to have already gone through your young life so far, not identifying to the labels that have been given to you, which I think is that you're just a being, which I think is a real profound and beautiful way to, to describe, because most people say, oh, I'm this, I'm that, which is obviously the ego and the, the belief systems. But I think that's a real beautiful analogy. I love that. I'm just a being. I'm being.
Well, it might be the first time I'm publicly sharing that.
You know what?
I might have said it once
this before. Is the first breaking news.
Maybe.
Now, okay, so we're building the picture up. We're building this up now. So we've touched on at the beginning why we are here. You're having the human experience. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our interpretation of who we believe we are, and then we're going to go into the realm of, so that being said, what is this reality that we've come into? What's your truth?
Well, I don't know if I would say this is my truth, but these are things that I've thought about.
Yeah.
And not necessarily 100% forever. This is my truth or something. I don't know.
Yeah, the mind changes constantly.
Yeah, because we learn new things.
Yes.
I've often felt some of the time that I'm not sure which is actually the dream.
Wow.
Like maybe this thing, just maybe me talking to you right now on this computer and us doing this la.
Yeah.
maybe that's the dream. And
I
the
love
other
it.
places that we travel to, maybe those are sometimes it's hard to know between the dream and the reality,
Oh,
or
wow.
they're both dream places. I don't know.
I
So I
love
can't
that
say
analogy.
a convicted thing, like, but
I love it.
that's the thoughts I've mulled around in my,
Yeah.
some of the times it's like, is this really, all the things around me, is this real or is this a dream?
Love
And when
it.
you're in a profound dream
Yeah.
where you're seeing the future or you're connecting to a soul while they're dying and it's
Yeah.
truly happening,
Yeah.
is that a dream or is that real? So I don't know. I
I
can't.
love your reality.
know.
I love it. Obviously, being a medium myself, and on many occasions I've actually said that, and even to my children, believe it or not, I said, how do you know we're not dreaming? Or how do you know that we're not physically dead? How do you know? But how do you know you're not dreaming? How do you know that when you go into the conscious, what we call dream state, that's not a waking state? How do you know?
Exactly.
So it's where, like, this conversation does go into these areas, and it's about using that discernment. But again, you've answered so profoundly and truthfully, and I'm loving this. I mean, at the beginning, guys, Gail said, I've never done this before. I don't know the answer to anything. Now look what she's doing. She's just letting it go. It's beautiful, Gail, beautiful. So, right, we've gone into the context where we're spiritual beings or conscious beings having a human experience. Your truth is, or at the moment is, that we've come here to learn, and that we go on. Okay.
Besides to learn, I want to add.
You want to add what?
Yes, I think we also come here to serve.
To serve.
Yes, that's one of our other thing is to
That's
serve,
yeah.
whether we're serving the planet or a family or nature or whatever the thing is.
Okay.
We're really here to help. I think we're here to help others and be of service.
Absolutely. That's beautiful as well. So we've pulled that together to there. So now we're going to talk about, now when I've used the word ET as a generic identifier, but ET means other dimensional beings. There are some humans, Homo sapiens, that see what they perceive to be angels. Some perceive spirits. Some perceive ETs. I'm one that experiences spirit and ET. So on that basis, I would say that these ET beings are consciousness in a different shape and form. Does that resonate with you, or do you have another beautiful interpretation?
Interpretation of that there's a consciousness beyond the human consciousness in this planet? Is that
in a different form, in an ET form or an angelic form, or other beings other than the human being?
I can only talk from experience.
Yeah.
And I did have an experience where I felt when I saw a person that was actually, though, a human, when I was in a very bad car accident, but he felt like an angel to me. He didn't feel like but he was a human person. He was the person, he was a body, but he felt very different to me, like he was like an angel.
Different energy.
A different energy.
Yeah.
I don't have a religious thing particularly about angels. And yet I think it's a very nice word to describe some of the things. Like it seems like when I've seen certain people, like an angel is following them or an angel is protecting them, or and I don't know, but I don't have like a vision in my mind of somebody that is in heaven that looks like I don't know.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of thing. Same with the ET thing. I had one particular type experience that we're not going to talk about because we're not talking about that here. And that led me to feel that I didn't really want to investigate anything that had to do with extraterrestrials.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I have been in the company of people who have spoken of their experiences and shown, you know, as a child, I saw that with someone. I've been in a car driving with people who have been involved with Area 51 or this or that.
Yeah.
I just don't, I'm not sure. I think because of this one particular experience I had, I just never wanted to even.
Yeah, I'm with you.
My mother always said, thoughts are things that can grow wings and fly away and bring back things. Well, I happen to be very good at manifesting for some reason.
Yes, you are.
I see certain things, or especially material things for other people. Like if they're trying to buy something, all of a sudden see it on the corner somewhere, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's also that way with sometimes also with spiritual or other kind of things. And
you're aware, in your personal experience, you're aware they exist. You just choose not to go there.
I think something exists. I don't know what it is. I don't know. And only recently, from listening to some new podcasts, have I heard information that made me think about my experience from, 20 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's been that sort of thing where I just never wanted to investigate.
No, I mean, we all.
But I'm married to someone who wants to take off when they come to get him. He keeps telling me we're going off in a ship when they come, and I'm saying I'm not going. I'm an Earth person.
You're going to be one of.
Go anywhere.
And you know what I'm going to be doing, Gail? I'll be going, bye, Gail. I'm off.
Well, you've met my husband now. You two can go together.
I'm going with your husband. I've seen the husband. Boy, am I going with the husband. I've already said I'm a younger version of Gail. Gail, you've got to let me put the light on now, because in a minute I will fade away.
Oh, because it's getting darkness.
It's gone dark. It's gone dark, hasn't it? Okay. No, that's absolutely
fine. Oh, I see you have ET photos in your room.
No, I painted them, Gail. They're my painting.
Well, they look like the one in my experience, by the way.
No shit. No
shit. And these were, you're hiding him behind your head there. That, between that guy and this, well, I don't know. They're very, well, actually, it might be more this one over here in the far photo.
Which one? I'm moving back.
This one.
This one?
No.
This one?
No.
This one?
No.
This one?
Yes.
Oh, the greys. I paint them. Gail, I told you the other day I'm an artist. I paint them. So, okay, now I'm going to home in. You've seen this. You've seen that.
Well, now I can see it. Yes, I've seen that one particular guy once.
So there we go. She's outed.
We're not going into that now. That'll be another show.
Now, but she's just outed that she's an experiencer of ET. Wow. Now look at that, coincidental or synchronistically.
Well, it was a dreamlike state experience that, again, is, as I'm saying, I could not tell what the reality was after the experience, but it did entail some different fear and uncomfortability. So that's
I appreciate that. Most experiences, when they have the first one, it's so unknown and totally out of the reality we think we're in. It's scary, and the first reaction is no, I don't want to do that again. However, as time goes on, it does change, because you drop the fear like anything else. I mean, likes of me and you, if we saw a spirit, we're not going to get scared, are we, and fear them? Okay.
No.
But there are other human beings, if they saw a spirit, they go, oh, wah, and scream and get the exorcist in and the priest and the, so it's the same sort of thing. It's just an unknown. But don't worry, we'll be having another conversation about the grey in the corner that I've painted, because, we've got too many synchronistic ways between us. It's just unbelievable. We're going to get off that now. So the ET that we're experiencing is obviously within the realms of conscious in different shape and form, just like the spirit world. So the other area we go into is like, well, how are we connected to them? I mean, for example, we could even, we can call it all the dream worlds. I so resonate with your dream world analogy. I don't actually use that. I use many analogies to explain the human experience, but the dream world is a wonderful one. We don't know how we're connected. So coming from my truth, which could change at any time, at the moment is, well, I'm a conscious being. Everything's made of consciousness. There's nothing outside consciousness. So they are consciousness. And they're coming into our 3D reality, whatever we call it, whether we call it a simulation, a dream, it doesn't matter. And they're coming in, they've been coming in for, for eons, since the back of time. However, recently, I use the word, people are experiencing UFOs or ETs exponentially now. It's just like one after the other, paranormal experiences.
You know what else is that I found interesting is that lately, I mean, I'm talking about in the last year or less, there's been mainstream media publishing things about that, not your woo-woo people or your whatever alternative news, but the actual mainstream media. And it seems like there, from the few things I read, that it's, it's aircraft, people flying, military aircrafts, people that, are considered, reputable people or whatever. And they're the ones that are reporting all these things, but that it's been, I don't think it's been released to the public media until recently.
It hasn't. It started in 2017, but then recently, in June, in America, your country, darling.
Yes.
your country, the Pentagon said, yes, they are real. We don't know what they are, which we're not going to go down that road. They know what they are, but at least that's out in our reality now. So the likes of me and others, we're not tin hat crazies anymore. And everyone I meet is talking about ET. Doesn't matter what class, what economical class, everyone's talking ET, UFOs. Now it's socially acceptable. We're not, the weirdos anymore. We're not the conspirators. But that is happening. So obviously there must be, depends, if you're looking at the human experience, it depends where you come from with your truth. So in my truth is, it's part of my timeline, my human experience to encounter these beings, to what's coming. And at this point, this is my truth, they are here now to, I don't like the word assist, because we are the ones that free our own minds and consciousness. No one does it there's no savior out there. However, they are with us, or maybe as helpers, or just like we would as another human. You would help me, so to speak, to do something. If I put you on the spot, okay, and said, why are they here? Why do you think they're here now in our 3D reality, on the back of that you've just recognized that the media and your government has said yes? Well, they've said the craft is real. They haven't gone to that part yet. Why do you think they're here now?
I'm not sure if that's the right question, if they're here now, or if have they always been here? But
they've always been here.
Are allowed to, their consciousness is allowing it to come in because of maybe all the kinds of Star Trek shows they've watched, or I have no idea what might have made the consciousness.
What a question! You see what she's done, and this amazing girl. She better question than me. I eat humble pie. You worded it better than I. Go for it. So please go down the rabbit hole with that one. Go into it.
I don't know these answers. I myself don't know if there's really more, or never there have been ETs, or there were more ETs now than before. I just noticed that in people's consciousness,
yes,
this has become a more acceptable thing to discuss.
Yes.
Now, we're not going to go into stories, but my first exposure to the possibility that there are other planets and spaceships happened in 1962.
Yes.
So I had that thought planted in my brain
yes.
at 7.
Yeah.
And for whatever, and I don't know whether the person was crazy or whether it was real, or the pictures he showed me of this flying saucer device was,
Yeah.
I have no idea what that was.
You know,
But
you
never left me that one
experience.
that person.
You
Yeah.
are so open, Gail. You are so non-judgmental of anything that comes to you. You so flow. It's beautiful to have a conversation with someone who can flow like that, that doesn't dismiss it. Even if you're aware someone's experienced it, but you won't dismiss it. And this is what the podcast is about, sharing truths, to have the conversation, is this possible? Can we do more? So I really love the way you flow. Well, I don't know, but however, and that opens the conversation to a greater question, that you might actually come back and verbalize it better than I. And I have no issue. I have no issue, because I am younger than you, darling, with my plaits.
You might catch up to me. You don't know.
I was thinking it's like we said the other night. I must behave myself now.
Okay.
Why do you think? I do agree with you. No, seriously. I mean, I agree. My truth on why I didn't come back with my truth. They've always been here in my truth. They've always been here. However, I had to, my consciousness had to expand and to use more discernment and understanding, come outside the box, drop my judgments, drop my beliefs, my ideologies. And I become more aware of my surroundings, the more that I sort of stopped getting so distracted externally. I became aware they were always there, but I never saw them before. Even though I've experienced them since childhood, I thought, in my childhood, I thought when I saw them, because I was seeing what we call dead people, spirit people, I thought they were dead midgets. I'm so sorry, or dead dwarfs, because they were short. But I know it sounds, I don't mean to offend, but I was a child, so consciousness wasn't in my reality at all. But I was seeing, my whole life was just the dead. And I thought they were dead midgets because they didn't look like children, so to speak.
Were they dead?
Go on.
Were they dead, or do you mean you were seeing?
Well, I later on. Oh, yeah. No, I later on realized it when I was going through my childhood experiences, because I was seeing spirit all the time. When these two would come with the big heads, because it wasn't in my reality, E.T., there was no you. I just thought there were more dead people that would take me off somewhere. That's what I thought. It wasn't till later on, and it was around about 87 or something like that, then I saw a picture of one, and vroom, that fear of God went in me. The fear, that sort of thing. So, but for me, I think why my truth is why we're experiencing more and more of this paranormal, and I do believe it's linked with spirit as well. It's all one. I don't separate them. There's not like this dimension of this. It's all one. I think because as consciousness within each one of us is evolving, and we're becoming what we should be, more empathic, more compassionate, more loving. And we're looking at, what we perceive to be from the human, because I come from a juxtaposition of Homo sapiens sapien and consciousness. I'm aware I'm consciousness. But my human aspects has been working on this so much to try not to be judgmental, to try to understand another, why they do what they do, that my consciousness has expanded, as many people out there. So even though I've been a lifelong experiencer of other beings, it's more, because it's like having sight for the first time, but they've always been, I've always known they've been here. So it's no different to how you articulated your expression of the truth. It's just it's just the way that you're American and what am I, English or British? I don't even know what my label is. I don't know my label, if it's English or British. I don't know. So we'll pull that in now. So if we say, well, why are they interested in us? Okay, they obviously are interested in us. The experience we're not going to talk about on this podcast is they were interested in you. They were interested in me. And there's millions of people globally. It's all on all the podcasts now. Experiences are coming out of the closet, just coming out. So they're interested in us.
I've noticed a
Why?
lot of the shows I've been on, often many of them have had
Yes.
Your painting type things, or
Yes.
little statues or little things.
Yes.
And on every show, they seem to have that.
Yes. There's billions of us are becoming consciously aware that we've experienced this and never been allowed to talk about it. When I was a teenager, I thought it was normal to talk about dead people. And I was talking about things, as well, like these weird beings. I didn't know they were ET. I was told I had schizophrenia and diagnosed with it because, it's not science, excuse me, it's a no. But now there were children talking about these beings. They're drawing pictures of these beings. So the contact I want to say the contact is coming more and more and more, or flip that over and say, well, humanity's consciousness is evolving and expanding, that, there is more than just the meat body. There's more than what we think there is. So why are they interested in us from that aspect? I don't have a truth that says a savior is coming to help me. I don't have that. I never have done. It's direct to source for me. And I got to do the work myself. No one's responsible for what happens for me. And I need to save myself, never mind anyone else coming in. So from your perspective, we could change at any time. Why do you think they're so interested in us now? Why have they become, I've told you my truth, my perception. Why are they more around us? Why, when you go on your shows now, you're surrounded by experiences? What do you think's happening with us as humanity?
I don't know.
That's fine.
I don't know. I just know that there's been sometimes how it feels like with time, like it's the quickening or something where things are moving faster.
Yeah.
But that could be just my own personal thing because I'm getting older. And as you get older, time becomes 1 year feels like 6 months, that. And only as you get older do you know that.
Yeah, we're not that old, darling. We're not that old, darling.
But still, it goes faster. Yeah. And
I like the quickening. Go down that rabbit hole.
There's, energetically, I don't know what's going on, except that our planet is, there's endless, whatever you want to call them, disaster situations going on from nature that, whether it's the effects of global warming, global warming is almost, I guess, really a title to say for all, and this includes me. I'm no bit different than any other person. I fly on an airplane. I've done things. Those are the things that are happening. That part of our, progressive life is also destroying our nature life. Mm-hmm. And the nature life is very, very important to keep the balance of everything. Mm-hmm. So I think that from what I'm seeing going on now between natural disasters and pandemic and whatever's, is that there's a complete huge imbalance in the world. Yeah. And it's on many different levels. Mm-hmm. And I'm grateful that we know that there are monks and different shamans and people around the world that spend their time and energy in trying to heal the planet and giving energy that's, of a healing nature to try and help, so that people should know and support the Native American who wants to protect their lands. And
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's so much of that. And I don't know, I'm not sure why there is possibly more. As I said, I'm not sure if there are actually ET people here running around, or ET whatever's running around, or if people's consciousness have just opened to a more expansive place now.
Yeah.
And possibly because of technology, because, if we're thinking 30 years ago or something, you and I couldn't be looking at each other. It costs no money at all. It doesn't cost any money for us to do this.
No.
And we're sharing. And this is, I've launched my podcast, and I'm finding this ability to be able to interact with people in different places all over, and still be sitting in my house and feeling I'm finding like I'm connecting with people long distance, like someone like you who found me. And that's, to me, a very beautiful thing.
And you're time traveling. I'm in the future, aren't I?
Right.
You're time traveling as well. Now,
You're in night, I'm in day.
Yes. It's like, I like how you talk about the expansion of consciousness, because that so resonates with me. I don't know the whole truth. That's why I'm having these podcasts and exploring and listening to individual human beings, what they think it could be. We need this discussion. Discussions are needed because, I resonate also with about Mother Earth. I think we have nearly, and I'm talking about when we hit the atomic bomb, what we did, and all the atomic, the nuclear testing. They're now hitting waves out into space. They're firing into space, our atmosphere. I wouldn't be surprised that other beings, whether the ET angels or something, came in and said, you need to stop, because humanity hasn't got a very good history in this experience. We kill, we maim, we torture, we judge.
We don't stop. It never stops.
We never stop killing or judging.
War. I don't understand this.
Is this one? Yeah. So you can see the accumulation, and you look now what they're doing in space. They're saying we're protecting space. We're firing this into space. That's our atmosphere on Mother Earth. So it's not putting blame to anyone. It's the collective has agreed to this. Humanity has agreed, and I think it was a wrong choice, and we need to correct that choice. And I always give the analogy why they're working with us, because one of the reasons is they're giving humanity more of awareness of the animal kingdom. If you look at the consciousness of the animal kingdom, they flow. They don't have, they flow. They may have a fight to survive, but then they forget about, they move on. They flow. Nature flows. The tree outside my bungalow, its leaves are starting to drop. It's coming towards, we're in autumn, then we go to winter. It's not screaming, I've lost my baby leaves and I'm traumatized. I need a psychologist and I'm going to kill someone who did this to me. It's the cycle of life. Mm-hmm. And I could then, so I don't know, my truth, I think a real good reason that they're really interactive with us now. We need to reverse what people say about them, is because I know I've become more aware of Mother Earth. I've become more aware, not that I wasn't, but more aware of Mother Nature and the animals. I see them, even though I saw them, I could never, I'm a sort of human being that, I don't like to see someone be killed or die, human, and I was a nurse and I used to nurse them till they died. But however, if I see an animal injured, it just destroys me. So I've always loved animals. However, now I see them as conscious beings. I don't see them separate from me. They're part of Earth. They're part of nature. They're part of the whole. So I think these ETs, or whoever they are also bringing that to us, that we need to realize that, and that will maybe give us a realization of who we truly are.
I wanted to add something in about your animal spirits or animals.
We're not on alcohol, guys. We're on water. We're good women.
It's 11 o'clock. I'm never on alcohol. But anyway, the visitor what we had from Nepal, he was explaining all the tankas that I have in a room and explaining to me all, in fact, he told us the original story last night of how the first tanka was made, but I'm not going to go into that here. But what I did ask him while he was here, and he's the son of very spiritual, I don't know if he's a monk or I'm not sure what the title is, but his dad is an amazing man who I've seen speak before. He was the interpreter, his son. But I asked him about, I said, I'm not sure about reincarnation. Mm-hmm. I know that in the Buddhist tradition, and he's a Buddhist, in the Buddhist tradition, we say that, that when it's a high spiritual being, the reason they've seen that, they've known that this is the next reincarnation of someone is by them identifying with certain objects in a room as a child. Mm-hmm. They bring them certain things. The child picks the bowl and the spoon and the whatever. So this is the reincarnated being. So I said, but I don't understand about animals. What's with animals? I said, is that just, are they just, I said, he said, that's where spirits go. It isn't just that the human goes back into another human. The person's spirit or consciousness can become into an animal in its next form. Yeah. And that the animals, so I was looking at my dogs then after we had the talk, and I'm saying like, so are you somebody I know, That's not you, Dad, right? Or, I've always found with my dogs are very, they, how people feel that they're part of your family. Mm-hmm. And I've lost quite a few dogs over the years. I've lived in this house for 43 years. And,
but it's a thought, isn't it? I mean, coming from my truth, consciousness, experience all things at all times. So the analogy I use is there's consciousness, put a colander over, and all the beams of conscious light coming out, form and shape is you, me, everything, animals, trees, whatever. So it's coming from one source. So your truth, it's feasible that I consciousness could experience being one of your dogs.
Well, not only that, my dog taught me about spirituality.
Wow.
About a certain aspect that I'd always wanted to know. And I kept saying, everybody always says they see this, for me, it's auditory. I hear information, I feel things, and I physically experience it. Yeah. I don't actually see a visual cloudy or, things going out in front of me. I don't see that. And I said, how do they do that? How do they see this? Mm-hmm. And when my dog was dying, I knew he was dying that day. And it wasn't like we were putting him to sleep, which we've had to do sometimes when a dog is suffering. This is where it was his end of his life. Yeah. And he was out on the ground, and I just held him in my lap. And as I held him in my lap, he was a pretty big dog, I was stroking him, and I looked to the side, and there I saw a young version of him in an actual visual.
Wow.
Running off into our orchard with the happiestness imaginable.
That's beautiful.
And then I looked down, and then my dog, took his breath as he passed on. And I said, thank you right then and there. Yeah. You just showed me something I've never seen that everybody talks about. It made me feel like what am I missing,
Wow, what a beautiful experience.
And it was that's where an animal can teach you. It's not just.
Oh gosh, an animal. I know, because I used to have lots of cats. I've had loads of dogs, but I was what you would call at one point the cat lady. I learned more. I can't tell you what I learned from the cats. Their consciousness, their calmness, their stillness. You piss them off, though, they will tell you. But apart from that, their stillness.
I was playing a jaw harp. Do you know what the jaw harp is?
No, I don't.
Let me show you.
Oh, here we go.
This is a jaw harp.
Okay.
And it's a very ancient tool that's used by like Mongolian shamans, the times of Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
Existed. And it's just a metal little thing with a, you know, like this. And it makes a sound like this. And it's, for me, ancient type sound.
Yeah, no, it's fine, yeah.
Yeah, so when I do shamanic things with people, I play this, this jaw harp. And what did I have to, I was in Kansas at a place, and there was these 3 horses there that they brought that are special horses that are used for healing people or for therapy with people. Yeah. So this has become more common now.
I have heard of this, yeah.
Yes, in fact, in Mongolia, a film was made called Horse Boy, where an autistic child was brought to the shamans there and put on a horse, and he connected, so he couldn't speak, or he had a lot of difficulties, and he was only 4 or 5 years old. But the relationship between the shaman and him and the horse, his parents did a documentary of how much it healed this child. It didn't take him back to become a normal person, a regular whatever, he's still autistic, but he was able to open up more doors for him to be able to play and communicate with his parents that had not been possible before.
So again, consciousness connecting
through horse to the child. So I'm at this conference in Kansas on sacred Native American land, where it's called Council Grove. That used to be where they would congregate in all different tribes to discuss things. And while I was there, I said, you know, I was tired of the lecture. I needed to go out and get some fresh air. And I came outside, and the horses were standing there. And I played the jaw harp. I said, you know, Mongolia horses, they should be listening to this, because this is part of Mongolia and horses. And I played the jaw harp. And later, somebody came up to me and said, I heard that sound you were making to our horses. We were in our tent there. We were wondering, what was it that you were using? And I showed them the jaw harp. They said, we traveled through many states driving the horses here for this, and they've never slept, and we needed them to go to sleep. After you played the jaw harp, they all went to sleep.
Wow.
So I find there's bugs, insects. I have a very strong affinity with insects. Dragonflies, butterflies. I'm not afraid of bees. I mean, I just feel like
you're at home.
I feel like I have videos of me, you know, hanging out with a dragonfly on my finger, and I feel like we're communicating. And then my husband will say a joke in between.
Yeah.
How do you know that's not an ET? How do you know they're not actually in small, little, tiny things? You know, everybody imagines something big is coming. He said, maybe that bee you just killed was a whole colony of, you know.
But you know what? It's this type of conversation where we open it up. We can throw away the labels. We give them the name, because we can only work from the human left brain consciousness, the analytical, and the creative right brain consciousness. We have to label ET. We have to label, we have to analyze, we have to have, and all this. However, what you just spoke about falls under the analogy I talked about, the colander with the consciousness becoming all things, because ultimately we're all one. We're all one source coming out and experiencing. And what you spoke about, like, and I've said as well, that I'm finding personally, and I've heard from others, my connection to animals is getting stronger. So it's like we're going back to source, not just on an individual, but on a collective. Does that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. Because we have a history of barbaricness towards animals as well. Yes. Never mind humans. So I see, as much as we see what's going on out there in the dream world, I don't put my attention on it.
I have to interrupt with one more quick.
Go on.
even though we're not telling actually detailed stories, so I'll get this one to be a very short, quick thing.
Yeah.
And it has to do
It's
with
all right.
animals and death. I saw the most humane way of killing an animal ever in my life. And after I saw that, I was like, oh my God, it's a completely different experience than what an animal experiences in a slaughterhouse.
Oh yeah, that's
Without the fear that must go through into that animal.
yeah.
And then you're eating that meat from that animal that's
That
filled
energy.
with that fear and aggression.
Yeah.
Well, I've been blessed to be able to be welcome into Mongolia and invited to speak at conferences there. So when I went for a second conference, I decided to take my family. I have 3 children, but only 2 were able to go, and my husband. And my son's dream, he had only one dream on his list for Mongolia, was that he wanted to be part of the killing of a sheep, or to witness how a sheep is killed and then prepared into a meal. Mm-hmm. Being that he was a sous chef, it would be a food-oriented kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we go out to unfortunately, the family we stayed with, their daughter was dating the son was dating a woman who was a family were nomads.
Yeah.
So we drove for hours out into the steppes into Mongolia, and there's no signs. You don't know where your family lives because the nomads have to move every 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So there are hundreds and hundreds of animals have grass to feed before the winters come. And we're driving, and we finally, my daughter says, I don't understand this. How come this girl doesn't know where her parents live? I said, because they always move. And we get there, and we were so late that the family had already cut and butchered the sheep. And my son was so disappointed that the farmer said, oh, no problem. I mean, not in English, but in Mongolian.
Yeah.
No problem. We'll just take another one.
Yeah.
So he just walks out to the field where the sheep is eating. And it wasn't the father who did it. It was the little boy, right? And he just puts a little rope around the neck of the sheep, and he brings the sheep to the house where the grandma and the mother and the kids and everybody in the family's there. And they lay the sheep down on the ground, and he's not like fighting or crying or anything. And I said, I felt that if I was going to do this, I wanted to be part of this. So I laid the sheep's head in my lap, and I stroked the sheep's head. And while I'm stroking the sheep's head, the father takes out just a penknife, not any fancy butchering tools or anything like this. And he makes a small incision in the stomach of the sheep. And the sheep still isn't squealing. And he puts his hand up into the sheep, and he puts up some spot at the aorta where he clamps his fingers together. And in a few breaths, I see that the sheep breathes his last few breaths out on my lap, and he dies happily. There was no struggling. I was like, just even to give your animal sometimes a medication is difficult. This was like a very peaceful, existence for this. He ate, and now he's going to be eaten. Mm-hmm. And within minutes, every single part of the animal was cut up. There was there was everything. He was taking out the fresh grass and showing us in the stomach how he was just eating his grass.
Yeah. No.
And the meat was prepared with, 1, 2, 3 over a wood burning stove thing, because you're out in the middle of nowhere. And it was, potato, carrots, and this sheep, and the different parts were kept. Every single part was used. Nothing was wasted.
No, I mean, that is, so now people may think, oh, I'll tell you why I'm interested in this story, because
it was beautiful.
People think, oh, it's cruel to do that to animals. So hold on a minute. That's a belief system, one. Mm-hmm. But you'll go and eat your salad, your lettuce, your carrots, which is been proven scientifically today, is consciously aware. I think Rupert Sheldon's done a lot of stuff on areas like this. And I remember one really famous experiment years ago, and I don't know who did it. I don't know if it was Rupert Sheldon, I'm not sure. But they had a plant, and they put the detectors on the plant to see if it was consciously aware. And I'm going to kill this, but I'm paraphrasing. And they went to the plant, And they said, I'm going to burn you. And they got a lighter towards the plant, and they recorded it scientifically. The plant was consciously aware it was going to be harmed. Everything is consciousness, okay? So you can't say, no, I need to clear this up now. I don't want any hate mail. You can't say you can't kill or eat animals and then eat plants. You need to literally fast until you drop dead. The plants and animals are here for the human experience. You can choose not to eat one or choose to eat the other. You have a free choice. There's no wrong or right way. But I wanted to add in, the plants are conscious. Now, for example, the one source consciousness, the animals are here to eat. Now, you look at the nomads, they're not in it for monetary reasons, for quick and easy. They're being empathic towards the sheep and compassionate towards the sheep with their love and intention. They need to eat to survive. They're nomads. They don't have, the big malls or supermarkets to access. They don't even have a home. So there's nothing wrong with the natural way of existence between Homo sapiens, sapient humans, and animals like that. And
we have a home, it's just portable.
Yeah, well, there you go. So I think that gives another insight into what we are talking about tonight: consciousness. Who am I? What am I part of? We are aware that we're and now the connection between the nomads in Mongolia and the animals obviously it's resonating. It's like a superposition. It's just entangled. They're fully aware.
I have to say, when I drove around that country, because we drove down to the Gobi and we drove up toward near Siberia, and when you drive around these lands, the energetic feeling where, like, there was never a city there and now it's gone or something. I mean, there are places like that, of course, in Mongolia, like with the birthplace of Genghis Khan and blah, blah, blah. So there's things like that. But I mean, when you're out in the steppes or the Gobi or the place where you're just seeing land and sky for as far as you can go. Yeah. And the only thing there are camels and yaks and animals. The energy is so different.
Yes, it would be. Yes. Yeah.
It was, I'm just saying, my heart and just opened with endless feelings of joy and
I'm with you. No, I'm with you, Gail. It's beautiful. Now, so what we're going to do now, we've gone different ways in this conversation, which I loved. And you've just been amazing. I knew you would be. You didn't think you would be, but my God, you even got my questions the right way round. That just to show you that your potentiality to talk on this topic. You've started it, so don't stop. So we're going to bring this to a close, but we have to, with all that we've said and about consciousness, the experiences we're having, whether it's spirit world with other human beings or ET, we've touched on areas like, what could be happening with the expansion of consciousness, and we do need more conversations on this. The current times we're in now, without going into detail, if you could give anything to the viewer who's listening, to this podcast, how to drop the fears, the panic. Well, it's a fear of death that's going on collectively now. Something we should never fear is death. Because we could say in the dream world, it doesn't even exist. It doesn't. On the juxtaposition for, the physical body will die at some point. You're not getting out of it. But consciousness goes on, which we've discussed tonight. It expands out. It's the dog, the universe, to the next one. It continues. And we know that through mediumship. However, what advice would you give, or any thoughts? Or
well, I would, if it's all right with you, I have this right here.
Yeah, it's all right with me.
Okay, let me see if I can put my finger.
I must respect my elders of 3 years.
Let me see if this is right here. Let me see. What it is an answer to that question that I did not write, but that I just read.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
I felt that it answers it. So if I could just read this instead, and if
It's
people would know
synchronistic,
that
isn't it?
it's not me saying these words,
Okay.
but the words of a Native American, and it
Yeah.
just came around. You know how people put something up on Facebook
Yeah.
and it gets twirled around and
Yeah.
a few people see it. And this
Okay.
was put up in the last month or so in response to exactly your question.
Oh, how beautiful.
So, if
Thank
that's okay, it's not too long. It's only half a page,
you.
and I'm just
There's
read
no
it.
rush. There's no
Okay.
rush.
And then we're happy to end on that after.
Yes, we are.
Hopi Indian chief White Eagle commented on the current situation. This moment humanity is experiencing can be seen as a door or a hole. The decision to fall in the hole or walk through the door is up to you. If you consume the news 24 hours a day with negative energy, constantly nervous with pessimism, you will fall into this hole. But if you take the opportunity to look at yourself, to rethink life and death, to take care of yourself and others, then you will walk through the portal. Take care of your home. Take care of your body. Connect with your spiritual home. When you take care of yourself, you take care of everyone at the same time. Do not underestimate the spiritual dimensions of this crisis. Take the perspective of an eagle that sees everything from above with a broader view. Mm-hmm. There's a social question in this crisis, but also a spiritual question. The two go hand in hand. Without the social dimension, we fall into fanaticism. Without the spiritual dimension, we fall into pessimism and futility. Are you ready to face this crisis? Grab your toolbox and use all the tools at your disposal. Learn resistance from the example of Indian and African peoples. We have been and are exterminated, but we never stopped singing, dancing, lighting a fire, and rejoicing. Oh. Don't feel guilty for feeling blessed in these troubled times. Being sad or angry doesn't help at all. Resistance is resistance through joy. You have the right to be strong and positive, and there's no other way to do it than to maintain a beautiful, happy, bright posture. It has nothing to do with alienation, ignorance of the world. It's a resistance strategy. When we cross the threshold, we have a new world view because we faced our fears and difficulty. This is all you can do now. Serenity in the storm. Keep calm and pray every day. Make a habit of meeting the sacred every day. Show resistance through art, joy, trust, and love. Hopi Indian Chief White Eagle.
Wow.
I felt when I read that I have nothing else to say except stay as happy as you can, be as loving and caring to yourself and others as you can. And the silver lining is that families are spending more time together and people are having intimate conversations, and we're also relating across the world together.
On that note, that was beautiful. On that note, thank you everybody for watching Inception Podcast and the conversation between me and Gail on consciousness. And we'll see you soon. It's bye from me. Bye, guys.